2016, Blizzard Entertainment published Overwatch for the Sony PlayStation 4, Microsoft Windows, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. The premise of the game is that it was an online team-based first-person shooter featuring different types of modes with relation to playing. Players on teams could choose a character to benefit the team that they played on depending on the circumstances of the match, to counteract character choices by the opposing team, or for features of the characters that the players are able to choose with. From the cast of characters presented, there was always an imbalance of selection. The characters of class towards the end of the lifespan of the game were damage per second based characters, tank-based characters, and healing or supporting-based characters. A major source of complaints from the player base who kept Overwatch active throughout its lifespan on the consoles, as well as computer-based, at the time mostly asked Blizzard to come up with more characters of the tank and supporting classes. But Blizzard often created more damage-based characters. Overwatch was arguably one of the most casually based first-person shooting games of its generation, and for most casual players, choosing damage-based characters were their first choice of selection, and in some situations or scenarios, their only choice because of the gaming dynamics had it that tank or supporting characters were far more difficult to use effectively than a damage-based character. In 2019, Blizzard made an announcement that there would be a sequel to the game, being that of Overwatch 2. This announcement was partially made to address the extraordinary amounts of problems that had developed during the lifespan of the original game, as well as to help bring back positive attention to Overwatch that had been lacking since the last character was introduced in the original Overwatch, being that of Echo. In April of 2022, a beta of Overwatch 2 was released, being that of a player versus player, including the character of Sojourn. From information now known, Sojourn was a character that was completed quite some time before the Overwatch 2 beta and was originally supposed to have been released around the time that Blizzard had introduced Echo into the game. However, Sojourn was that of a damage-based character and did nothing to address the complaints as well as the downright anger that had consumed Overwatch during the end of its lifespan. Early complaints had it that with the dynamics of Sojourn during the beta, the dynamics of the character in terms of gameplay and overall quote-unquote feel by players, she was something similar to that of existing characters of Soldier 76 and Widowmaker. Further observations had it that during the beta, the character felt as if nothing new was brought into the game with her abilities, as players simply added that the only thing she could do differently was her dashing movement ability, as prior to Sojourn's introduction, all of the previous characters in Overwatch brought new abilities, new methods of play, and new experiences for players, but Sojourn was argued to have none of that. Gamers were optimistic that a tank or a supporting character would be the first to be introduced for the beta, and the fact that Sojourn was released at that time, essentially nothing different, was what a lot of players had suspected during the later years of Overwatch, that Blizzard had intentionally focused on damage-based characters for the casual gamer niche of the Overwatch demographic. And Sojourn was a literal realization of the decline, neglect, or even ignoring of the franchise by Blizzard towards the players. A character could be overrated yet hated because people were expecting a different type of character for a new game. Yet they were disappointed when another character of the same type was introduced into the quote-unquote sequel to the game.